One of the most common questions we hear in classrooms is why? So many people wonder where and when they will use all that information in their lives, excluding exams. This question that keeps repeating itself might sound like an excuse students came up with to claim the system isn't worthy of their attention. But a reason is literally what determines something's worth and whether or not it deserves attention. At some point, even value and hardship lose their meanings, but the reason always stays the same. The universe can consist of dirt, and we will still need it for its reason, not its value. Speaking of the universe, there isn't a single reason for us to keep living, is there? I mean, existence is nice and all, but what exactly is the reason? Let's put religious approaches and personal comments aside. What makes life so exciting and disappointing? How can the very same thoughts change perspectives and comments based on the emotions we look through? Just what are emotions? Each time I hear people praise others for being dull and emotionally lacking, I hear my bones break. Because this is not how humans, or any creature with a developed consciousness, are supposed to live. Let's try to understand the concept of emotion in general. Emotions are intense and subjective feelings that arise in the inner world of the individual and that emerge in the face of events and situations. The two valuable traits of emotions are 1. Fast information transmission, and 2. Motivation, reason. Before starting this part, it is important to note that there is no such thing as bad emotion. Each emotion has a reason, a purpose, and a duty. What makes them extreme is what we decide to do with them, or the state of our mental health. The ability of fast information transmission can mean multiple things, but in general, it attracts attention to the fact that emotional cues and senses work faster than logical thinking and deciding. This incredible speed and the tendency to react instantly is a primal part of our brain programmed to survive. The amygdala, a part of the brain involved in processing emotions, is highly responsive to emotional stimuli. It enables the fast tracking of emotional information, often bypassing more deliberate cognitive processes. This is why you might jump at a sudden sound before realizing it's harmless. According to the somatic marker hypothesis proposed by neuroscientist Antonio Damasio, emotional reactions, like gut feeling, guide quick decision-making by marking certain choices with bodily sensations tied to past experiences. It is valuable to note that these past experiences don't simply mean what we know about that specific situation, but our overall approach to life and the unknown itself. And as for why emotions are essential mechanisms that can determine our survival rate, these are two cardinal reasons. Evolutionary purpose. Emotions evolved to enhance survival. Rapid recognition of threats or opportunities, a predator or a mate, increases chances of survival and reproduction. Nonverbal communication. Facial expressions, tone of voice, and body language convey emotions faster than words, making them essential for quick social exchanges. This might seem like a trivial trait to some, but as social beings heavily dependent on societal structures, the ability to react fast and effectively shapes us and those around us. The brain and cognition are incredible parts of us. Without them, we wouldn't even be able to question what emotions are and what to do with them. But without emotions, both with their contribution to survival and also motivation, there would be no point in questioning them. Logic and emotion are distinct yet interdependent entities that complement each other. The corruption or imbalance of one can lead to the dysfunction of the other. It is unwise to elevate one while disregarding the other, as both serve critical roles. Emotions act as rapid processors, reaching conclusions in situations where logical deliberation might be too slow. This speed reduces the brain's cognitive load, freeing resources to focus on deeper cognition, complex problem-solving, and memory consolidation. Let's demonstrate how this works on something else we already know: computers, emotions as the GPU. Just as a GPU processes large amounts of visual data rapidly and efficiently, emotions handle the fast processing of environmental and social cues. GPUs excel at parallel processing, which is similar to how emotions can quickly evaluate multiple factors: tone, facial expressions, or environmental danger, without needing logical deliberation. Logic as the CPU. Logic performs more deliberate, linear, and complex calculations, akin to how a CPU handles detailed computations that require precision and time. The CPU works best when not bogged down by tasks that a GPU could handle faster, just as logic is more effective when emotions manage immediate reactions. Cognitive load as RAM. RAM is the temporary workspace for processing data, much like working. Memory in the brain, when emotions quickly filter out or manage simpler tasks, like immediate threat detection or mood regulation, it reduces the load on RAM, allowing the CPU, logic, to focus on higher-order tasks like learning, problem-solving, and creativity. When a GPU and CPU work in harmony, they optimize performance. Similarly, when emotions and logic cooperate, they enable efficient decision-making and adaptive behavior. This is one of the reasons why it is very unwise to trait emotions unnecessarily. It is like breaking down the components of your computer on purpose and then wondering why it no longer works properly. If you notice signs of slowing down, corruption, and worsened performance on your devices, you are quick to act and admit there is a problem. Considering brains are biological computers, one shouldn't blame oneself for failing and instead try to solve the problem. It might be hard, but help is always there, in case you need to hear this. I know you are stronger than you can ever think. Moving on from computers. There comes the second trait that separates us from computers and fuels every single thing we do during our lifetime. Reason. We all know smoking is bad for our health. Believe me, smokers get reminded of this almost constantly, whether it's from the disapproving looks of strangers, the disappointed remarks from loved ones, or the stark warnings plastered on cigarette packages. Smokers are not uninformed. They're acutely aware of the damage. They live in it. They can actively experience their bodies withering away. So, why don't they quit? Why do we, myself included, knowingly harm ourselves? As a former non-smoker who used to wonder the same thing, I've come to realize that emotions are at the core of this behavior. Here's the truth. We act when we feel the need outweighs the cost. Think of it like buying an expensive computer. It may cost a lot, but if the benefits, efficiency, productivity, possibilities seem worth the price, you'll make the purchase and willfully suffer the consequence as you believe the result is worth it. Smoking follows a similar emotional logic. It offers temporary relief, relaxation, escapism, or comfort in routine, in exchange for a portion of your health. It works like a Faustian bargain, really. This emotional reward feels immediate and tangible. On the other hand, quitting smoking promises better health, but this potential feels distant, abstract, and often overshadowed by the emotional weight of what you'd be giving up. The scales don't work in our favor. Until the emotional value of quitting outweighs the comfort and familiarity of smoking, the logical knowledge that smoking is harmful will rarely drive change. That's the power emotions have in shaping our decisions. They're not just reasons. They're the hidden hands tilting the scales of action. But while emotions can keep someone smoking or prevent them from even considering quitting, they can also be the very reasons to stop. Let's look at the scale again. Take Benjamin, for example. He's thinking about quitting smoking. Let's help him tip the balance. First, let's start with logical reasons. Cigarettes are expensive. He could save his money instead. Cigarettes are harmful to his health. They make his breath stink. Cigarettes can kill him. There, we've given him several valid points. But wait, the scale barely budged. Why? Benjamin agrees with everything we said, yet it doesn't seem to motivate him enough. The problem is that we've only provided logical reasons. Where are the emotional motivators? Why should Benjamin care about saving money if it's already being spent on something he finds comforting? Why should he want a perfectly healthy body if he's content with his current state? Who cares about bad breath? And why would he prioritize living longer if life already feels unremarkable? Now, let's add emotional weight to these reasons. He should save money because he'd love to buy a figure collection of his favorite game characters. Or maybe he dreams of updating his wardrobe and starting the new year with a fresh, stylish aesthetic. He should keep his health optimal because the world is full of wonders waiting to be explored. Touristic sites and natural beauty demand physical endurance, and he'd want to hike, climb, and wander without limitation. He should worry about his breath because he'd like to make new friends or deepen connections with his current circle. First impressions matter, and even the way he smells could shape how others perceive him. He should want to live longer because he has dreams to chase. Whether it's starting a family, traveling the world, or pursuing hobbies, he needs time to see those dreams come to life. And there's more that emerge from emotional reasons. He feels a pang of shame every time his loved ones give him those disapproving, belittling looks. Quitting could free him from that constant humiliation. He could boost his chances for new job opportunities. Many companies prefer non-smokers, and sometimes it's the little things that set candidates apart. If he has children one day, he'd want to set a good example. How can he discourage them from smoking if he's doing it himself? What if they start smoking because of him? His mother would be overjoyed if he quit. He'd love to make her proud. And his cat. He could afford better food for his furry companion. Seeing his cat happy would bring him joy too. Now, look at the scale. By anchoring logical reasons in an emotional context, we've made real progress. Benjamin can see not just what he's giving up, but also what he stands to gain, and that's where true motivation comes from. This is his motivation. Benjamin's story doesn't just highlight how emotions can motivate action, it also shows how they shape the way we interact with information itself. The reasons for quitting smoking didn't change. They were always there, logical and undeniable. What changed was the lens through which Benjamin viewed them, colored by emotional relevance. Emotions act like filters, determining what we focus on, how we interpret it, and what weight we assign to it. This is why the very same piece of information can feel urgent and compelling to one person, yet trivial or irrelevant to another. Take the phrase, "no one cares." For someone feeling melancholic, it might reinforce feelings of isolation and insignificance. I'm alone in this world. But for someone in a state of happiness, the same thought might evoke a sense of liberation. I'm free to live how I want, without judgment. The information hasn't changed, the emotional lens has. Similarly, consider a photograph. The exact same scene can evoke wildly different emotions depending on the tone of the lens used to capture it. A sepia tone might make it nostalgic, while a cool blue filter might give it a somber, tranquil vibe. Emotions function in much the same way, coloring the snapshot of a situation in our minds. In Benjamin's case, logical reasons like cigarettes are expensive or smoking is harmful didn't carry much weight until they were framed in a way that resonated emotionally. Once the scale was tipped with feelings of pride, joy, and ambition, those same facts became more meaningful and actionable. This emotional filtering applies to almost every thought or piece of information we encounter. Our emotions don't just shape how we feel, they shape how we think, react, and decide. They prioritize certain details while discarding others, amplifying some messages while muting others. Emotions are so integral to how we process information. They create a personalized lens through which every experience is filtered. A single statement, a single scene, or even a single decision can take on vastly different meanings depending on the emotional tone applied to it. By understanding this emotional filtering, we can begin to take control of our lenses. Just as a photographer chooses the filter that best enhances their vision, we can actively seek out emotional perspectives that empower rather than hinder us. Skulls and skeletons, elegant and beautiful symbols of death, they represent the birth of my hope.